I still remember the first day I walked into Grayson & Co., the corporate empire where dreams were either made or crushed. The glass walls reflected ambition, the air reeked of competition, and everyone wore masks, polite smiles hiding ruthless intentions. But among them all, there was one face that stood out. Elena Carter. She was the kind of colleague who knew how to make you feel safe, always smiling, always encouraging, the kind who offered to bring you coffee when you were drowning in deadlines. And me? I was naive enough to believe it was genuine. I was working day and night on a project that could define my career, a presentation for the board of directors that could lead to my first ever promotion. For months I refined every slide, rehearsed every line, and triple-checked every statistic. And guess who stayed late with me most nights? Elena. She pretended to be my friend, saying things like, "Don't worry, you've got this. You're the smartest guy in this department." Her words felt like comfort, until the storm came. The night before the presentation, I left my files on my desk, password protected but still accessible from my system. Elena said she'd keep an eye on things while I went home to rest. The next morning I walked into the boardroom. Confident. My promotion was within reach. But the moment I opened the presentation file, my blood ran cold. The slides weren't mine. They were an exact replica, but presented by Elena. Standing tall in her polished suit and charming voice, she smiled at the board as if she had created everything. And I was just another spectator. I clenched my fists under the table, my mind screaming, "No, this can't be happening." The board members applauded, impressed by her brilliance. My boss leaned forward, whispering to the others, his eyes filled with admiration. It was as if my hard work had been erased from existence. Elena locked eyes with me mid-presentation. And for the first time, her smile wasn't sweet. It was triumphant. The betrayal sliced deeper than words. I had been played, used, and left with nothing. But what Elena didn't know was that secrets never stay buried for long. Cliffhanger. That very night, I stumbled across something hidden in her emails that would turn the tables forever. I barely remember leaving the boardroom that day. The applause still echoed in my ears, mocking me. Elena was celebrated, while I was invisible. Back at my desk, my phone buzzed. A company-wide email. Congratulations to Elena Carter for her outstanding work. Promotion well deserved. My chest tightened. I wanted to scream. To expose her. But without proof, I would only look bitter, jealous, and weak. Hours passed as I sat there, staring at my computer. That's when fate intervened. Elena's desk was right across from mine. She had left for a celebratory dinner with management, her computer still on sleep mode. And then, a notification popped up on her screen. Curiosity, mixed with rage, pulled me closer. The subject line read, the arrangement. My heartbeat thundered. I shouldn't have touched her system, but something in my gut told me this wasn't just about betrayal. It was bigger. Her inbox was a maze of conversations, but one thread stood out. It was between Elena and someone high up in the company, a senior manager. If you cover for me, I'll make sure your promotion goes through. Don't forget, I still have those files. Files? Cover for what? I scrolled faster, my eyes widening with every line. The emails revealed an affair, a messy, scandalous relationship between Elena and a married manager. She wasn't just ambitious, she was manipulative, blackmailing her way to the top. One attachment caught my eye. A confidential file, marked, "Do not share." Hands trembling, I opened it. Inside were financial discrepancies, hidden transactions that could ruin careers if exposed. And Elena? She was at the center of it all. My heart raced. This wasn't just office drama anymore. It was corruption. I sat back, shocked, the glow of the monitor painting my face in pale light. Elena had betrayed me to rise. But in doing so, she had left behind a trail of secrets that could destroy her. I whispered to myself, Elena, You just saved my career, because in my hands, I now held the power. Cliffhanger. The only question was, should I expose her right away, or wait for the perfect moment to strike back? That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, Elena's smug smile haunted me. The boardroom claps still echoed in my head, like nails scratching my brain. But now, I had something she didn't know. Her emails. Her affair. Her manipulation. Her corruption. Revenge burned inside me, hotter than fire. But revenge without strategy? That's suicide. I stared at my laptop screen, rereading her messages again and again. The way she blackmailed her senior manager. The way she talked about covering her tracks. It was obvious. Elena was playing a dangerous game, and I had just been thrown into the middle of it. I imagined marching into HR, dropping a stack of printed emails on their desk, and watching her career crumble. But then a darker thought crossed my mind. What if I wait? What if I let her climb higher? Let her think she's untouchable? And then at her peak, I pull the ground from under her. The thought sent a shiver down my spine. The next morning, Elena walked into the office glowing with victory. She carried a bouquet of flowers, congratulatory cards pinned to her cubicle wall. Her laughter rang louder than usual, and she looked at me, almost mockingly. "Rough night?" she asked with a smirk. I forced a smile. "Yeah, you could say that, if only she knew. But revenge requires patience, and patience is what I decided to master." Over the next few days, I became the perfect colleague again. Supportive, quiet, invisible. Elena thought she had won. But I was watching, recording, waiting, and then, one late evening while I was packing up, I overheard something that nearly made me drop my bag. In a corner office, Elena was whispering to the very manager she had been emailing. "Relax," she said. "As long as you keep approving my reports, no one will ever know where the money is going. I'll handle the rest." My jaw tightened. This wasn't just about betrayal anymore. This was fraud, and I had proof. Cliffhanger. I knew then. It wasn't just my career at stake. It was the entire company. I had a choice. Expose her now, or dig deeper. My instincts screamed caution. Elena wasn't stupid. She had backup plans, safety nets. If I moved too soon, she'd twist the story, frame me, and I'd be the one out the door. So, I decided to play smarter. For weeks, I quietly collected evidence, forwarding key emails to a private account, taking screenshots, saving documents on an encrypted drive. Every piece of dirt I uncovered painted the same picture. Elena wasn't just ambitious. She was dangerous. Her web of lies stretched further than I thought. Fake invoices, ghost clients, redirected funds. She was siphoning money, and the senior manager was helping her cover it up. The office admired her efficiency, her innovative ideas. But behind the curtain she was stealing, not just from me, but from everyone. Meanwhile, Elena grew bolder. She started treating me like her assistant. "Hey, could you check this file for me? Mind grabbing me a coffee? Oh, you're so reliable. No wonder you're not climbing. Too nice for this world." Each comment was a dagger, but I smiled through the pain. Because I knew the day was coming. Then one evening, fate handed me the perfect weapon, a misdirected email. Elena accidentally CC'd me on a thread she meant to keep private. It contained an internal audit notice. The company was planning a surprise review of finances. And Elena? She was panicking. "We need to move funds fast. If they dig too deep, we're finished." My pulse raced. This was it. The perfect trap. If I played this right, the auditors wouldn't just find mistakes. They'd find her entire scheme. I leaned back in my chair, a slow smile spreading across my face for the first time in weeks. "Game over, Elena," I whispered. Cliffhanger. But I had no idea. Elena was already planning her next betrayal, and this time, it wasn't just my career on the line. It was my freedom. The day of the audit drew closer, and with it, Elena's mask began to crack. Her perfect hair wasn't as polished. Her laugh wasn't as loud. She barked orders instead of charming the room. I watched, silent, as she scrambled to plug the holes in her sinking ship. Every panicked email she sent, every late-night call she made, I saved them all. But the sweetest part? She still thought I was her harmless shadow. "Hey," she said one morning, tossing a file on my desk. "Could you polish this report? Make it look clean." "You're good with details," I smiled. "Of course." And inside that report, I found the final piece of the puzzle. Falsified vendor contracts. Fake signatures, doctored numbers. She wasn't just siphoning money. She had built an entire empire of lies. By now, I had enough evidence to bury her 10 times over. But something inside me wanted more. I didn't just want her fired. I wanted her destroyed. The thought terrified me and thrilled me at the same time. That evening, I sat in my apartment, the city lights flickering through the blinds, and rehearsed my plan. Step 1. Let the auditors see everything. Step 2. Push Elena into a corner where she incriminates herself. Step 3. Watch her empire collapse. But life has a cruel sense of timing. The next day, as I walked into the office, HR was waiting at my desk. Their faces were cold, formal. "We need to talk," one of them said. My stomach dropped. Had Elena beaten me to the punch? The conference room felt like a courtroom. HR sat across the table, their folders stacked neatly. Elena sat to the side, her legs crossed, her smile venomous. "We've received a concerning complaint," HR began. "About me?" I asked, my voice steady. Elena leaned forward, feigning sympathy. "I'm sorry, but yes, apparently you've been misusing company resources, forwarding confidential documents to your personal account." My blood turned cold. She knew. Elena's eyes glittered with victory. "I mean, I didn't want to believe it, but the IT team traced the activity back to your login." I realized then she had planted evidence against me. She wasn't just covering her tracks. She was framing me. HR flipped open their folder, showing printouts of suspicious email activity. On paper, it looked damning, but I didn't flinch. "If that's true," I said calmly, "then I'm sure the audit will clear everything up." "Right?" Elena froze. For the first time, her smile faltered. The HR officer frowned. "Audit?" Elena quickly jumped in. "Oh, it's nothing. Just routine. Don't worry about it." But the seed was planted. They would look deeper. I leaned back in my chair, meeting Elena's gaze. For the first time, she knew. I wasn't scared. That night, she cornered me in the parking lot. The rain poured down, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. "You think you're clever, don't you?" she hissed. "I don't need to be clever," I replied. "I just need to be patient." For a moment, I thought she might slap me, but instead she smiled. That cold, dangerous smile. "Then be patient," she whispered. "Because when I'm done, you won't just lose your job. You'll lose everything." Cliffhanger. And as she walked away into the storm, I realized she wasn't bluffing. Elena was about to unleash a war that could ruin me before I had the chance to ruin her. The next week was chaos. Rumors swirled in the office like wildfire. Someone had tipped off whispers about financial irregularities, and the auditors were digging deeper than anyone expected. Elena kept her mask on in front of the team, cheerful, commanding, untouchable. But I saw the cracks, the nervous tapping of her pen, the late arrivals, the fake smiles. Still, she wasn't backing down. Instead, she doubled her attack. Emails from me appeared on servers I'd never touched. Requests for money transfers. Notes that hinted I had colluded with suppliers. It was sophisticated. She wasn't just sabotaging me. She was painting me as her scapegoat. And HR? They weren't sure who to believe. One moment they eyed me with suspicion. The next they questioned her inconsistencies. It was a tightrope, and one wrong step meant falling into her trap. One night, as I stayed late gathering files, I heard footsteps. Elena's heels clicking against the marble floor. She slipped into my cubicle like a shadow. "You should have just stayed quiet," she murmured, her voice low and venomous. And let you burn everyone else with me? I shot back. She leaned closer, her perfume sickly sweet. Don't you get it? This company doesn't care who's guilty. They just need someone to blame. And guess what? You're perfect. Forgettable. Replaceable. Her words stung, not because they weren't true, but because they were exactly what she believed. I clenched my fists under the desk, forcing my voice steady. Then you'd better hope those auditors don't see your secret folder. For the first time, her eyes widened, just for a flicker of a second. Then she regained her composure and smirked. Cute bluff, she said, turning to leave. But it wasn't a bluff, because that very morning, I'd found her hidden folder on the company server, misfiled under an innocuous project name. Inside it, dozens of incriminating files, and I had already backed them up. Cliffhanger. The war had officially begun, and I was holding her deadliest weapon in my hands. The following day, the auditors called for a private meeting. Both Elena and I were summoned. The tension in the room was suffocating, like a courtroom where the judge hadn't yet decided who to hang. They asked questions. Lots of questions. About contracts, about expenses, about approvals. Elena, ever the actress, played her part flawlessly. Of course, I approved the reports, but only after he handled the initial drafts. He's detail-oriented, maybe too detail-oriented. Every word twisted the knife deeper into my back. Finally, one of the auditors turned to me. Do you have anything to say in your defense? The moment had come. My pulse thundered in my ears. Slowly, I slid a flash drive across the table. Yes, you might want to see this. The room went silent. The lead auditor plugged it into his laptop. One by one, the files appeared on the screen. Forged contracts, falsified signatures, trails of money redirected into ghost accounts. The more they clicked, the paler Elena became. Her confident smile vanished. Her hands, once steady, now fidgeted in her lap. The auditors exchanged glances, whispering to one another. Finally, one of them turned back to Elena. Would you like to explain these? For the first time, Elena had no words, but before I could savor the victory, she snapped. This is fake, she shouted, her voice trembling. He doctored everything. He's been obsessed with me for years, jealous, desperate, don't you see? He's framing me. Her outburst shocked everyone, but her desperation gave her away. I sat back, calm and silent, while the auditors stared at her, unraveling. Cliffhanger. Just when I thought it was over, Elena slammed her hand on the table and said words that froze my blood. If I go down? I'm taking him with me. The room froze. Elena's words hung in the air like poison. If I go down, I'm taking him with me. The auditors exchanged uneasy glances. HR scribbled frantic notes. And me? I kept my face calm, but inside my pulse hammered like a war drum. Elena straightened her posture, regaining a shred of composure. Think about it, she said, her voice sharper now. He's the only one who had access to my files. He's been stealing them, twisting them, building this little fantasy. Her eyes locked on me, burning with fury. He's the real thief. I'm just the easy target. I wanted to laugh. The desperation, the performance. But I didn't. Instead, I leaned forward. If I may, I said calmly, sliding another folder across the table. This contains time-stamped emails from her account, sent to her accomplice. Verified by the server logs, the auditors flipped through the pages. Their frowns deepened. Elena's mask cracked further. Sweat beaded at her temples. Her voice rose, frantic now. This is a setup. He hacked me! One of the auditors cut her off. Enough. These records are clear. The IP addresses trace back to your device, Elena. Not his. Her face drained of color. For a moment, the entire room was silent. The kind of silence that follows a verdict. Then the lead auditor spoke, his tone final. Ms. Elena, we'll be escalating this to the board immediately. Until then, You are suspended, effective immediately. The words hit her like a hammer. Her chair screeched as she stood, her fists trembling, but as she stormed out, she threw one last dagger over her shoulder. This isn't over. You think you've won? I'll bury you outside this office if I have to. The door slammed shut. Cliffhanger. I thought it was finished. But later that night, as I walked home, a black car slowed beside me on the street, and the tinted window rolled down. The rain was falling hard. The city lights blurred in the wet pavement. The car stopped beside me, its engine growling like a predator. Inside, Elena sat in the back seat, her makeup smudged, her expression wild. She looked nothing like the polished executive I once knew. She looked dangerous. "Get in!" she snapped. Every instinct screamed to walk away. But something stronger pulled me in. The need to end this, once and for all. I opened the door and slid inside. The car pulled away, silence thick between us. Finally she spoke, her voice low and venomous. "You ruined me. Everything I built. Gone, and for what? A promotion?" I stared at her, calm but cold. "No. For justice. For every lie. For every knife you put in someone's back." Her laugh was hollow, broken. "Justice? Don't be naive. No one cares about justice. They care about power. And I still have power." She leaned closer, her smile manic. "You think those auditors will protect you? I still have people. I still have leverage. And I can make your life hell." For the first time, I saw her clearly. Not as a rival, not as a betrayer, but as someone consumed by her own greed. There was nothing left of the colleague I once trusted. I pulled out my phone and placed it on the seat between us. The red light blinked. Recording. Her face twisted in horror. I cut her off. "Every word you just said is going straight to the board. You're done, Elena." The car screeched to a stop. She screamed, lunging at me, but I pushed the door open and stepped into the rain. Behind me, her shouts were drowned by the storm. The next morning, the board convened. The evidence, her emails, her financial trail, her recorded threats, sealed her fate. Elena was fired, blacklisted, and soon after, arrested. As for me, the board called me into the very same conference room where I'd once sat powerless. This time, they offered me the promotion Elena stole. I walked out of that room with a new title, a new office, and a weight lifted from my chest. But more than the promotion, more than the victory, it was the lesson that stayed with me. Betrayal cuts deep, but karma cuts deeper, and Elena, she learned that the hard way, the end.